Hi everyone, this is Sherry. Welcome back. Today I am actually doing a scrap lift. It was for a challenge on the Hip Kit Club Facebook group, and right there you're looking at the layout that Missy Whidden had completed, and we were to scrap lift that layout, which she did a beautiful job. Love that layout. So I'm going to be going ahead and doing my version of the scrap lift to participate in the challenge. And she used the background paper was the dots you saw there, and she actually used that as part of her background, that beautiful paper. And instead of using the background of the dots, I wanted to kind of create my own version of the dots. So I'm going to be doing my own background using gelatos, and I'm trying to find the paper that she used because it was so cute. Bear with me while I look for you. Here we go. Yes, it was from Webster's Pages, and it's called Beautiful Chic, and it's called Swatches, and it was a beautiful paper with different color dots on it, and it was kind of like patterned. So what I decided, I wanted to try it, but I wanted to use the gelatos and kind of come up with my own background. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm starting off here on watercolor paper since I knew I was going to be doing a lot of gelatos. I started just rubbing the putting gelatos in different spots and different colors, and then using my finger to just gently rub those in. And I don't have a lot of colors in gelatos. I need to get some more. I was trying to look for like a little bit of a teal, so I kind of mixed the green and blue to get a little bit of a turquoise look to it. And so then I just kind of began to rub those in with my finger, and to kind of just get those smoothed out. And then what I found, I started using a baby wipe, and they kind of smoothed out a little bit more using the moisture of the baby wipe. And so then I just went through and continued smoothing those out to get the look and the circles that I wanted to get. And so I'm just going to continue through all of the dots and get those smoothed out. And I'm pretty happy with the way that that's looking as far as the number of dots. I'm adding a few more in there, just a little bit to complete that, but I'm pretty happy with that so far. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on the rest of the layout. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the bottom of my layout. Now she used that teal or aqua striped paper, the stitched paper by Amy Tangerine, called Garden, and that's what you're seeing on the bottom of her layout. But I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit more mixed media and do some painting. And so right now I'm just taking some just plain acrylic paints, and I'm using a blue, and I was going to water it down a little bit and add a little bit of white. And it was a little bit too blue for what I was wanting to do, so I added a little bit of aqua green in there to kind of mix it and get the color that I wanted. And then I'm just going to be painting it straight on the paper, and just some brush strokes going across the page. And I'm still wanting a little bit more of, kind of get a little bit more of that blue back in there. And so I'm going to paint those strokes across the bottom of the page to give that effect of the green on the bottom of the layout. And what I was going to do here is I was going to use my brayer to go across the page and hopefully lift some of that up, but it was drying too quick, and it wasn't quite working to give the effect that I wanted to do. So I thought, well, since that's not working, I'll come up with another solution. And what I decided to do is go ahead and just dip the brayer in some white paint. And so I'm going to go ahead and just put some paint on my craft mat there, and then just run the brayer across that blue paint on the bottom portion. And that's kind of giving it more of the effect that I was wanting to get. We kind of get that striped effect. And I didn't bring the bottom up just quite enough, so I'm going ahead and add a little bit more. I wanted to bring that bottom layer of that green and blue up a little bit higher. And so I've gone ahead and completed the white on that bottom portion. That's going to pretty much give me the effect that I was looking for on the bottom of that layout. And so I'm going to go ahead and dry it real quick with my heat gun and just shoot it with that to dry it quicker. And so now that that's dried and I've got my surface cleaned up a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of the layout. I'm scrapbooking, doing the layout of this picture of my niece. Her name is Brooklyn, and she was getting ready. She was going to her a father-daughter dance at her school, and she was so excited, and she's so sweet. I don't see her much because they live in California, and so we live far away. I don't get to see her nearly as much as I would like to, but I did want to scrap that photo because she just was so proud that she was getting to go to that father-daughter dance, and she was all dressed up, and so I did want to use that on the layout. And so what I'm doing here now is I decided that I wanted to kind of have more like a doodling effect, and so I'm going to kind of just circle all of those colors, the gelato colors, with a black pen. And so you're going to see me go around those a few times. Now, after you use a pen a little bit on those, it tends to stop writing because I think it picks up some of the gelatos and you have to kind of clean it off. And so you're going to see me change pens here a few times, but it doesn't hurt your pens or it doesn't do anything to them. It just kind of stops the ink from flowing for a little bit. So I just switched up pens here, and the Sharpie actually worked pretty well. I'm using a thin Sharpie there. That worked pretty well. And so I just kind of wanted to create that effect of this black circles around the gelatos to kind of finish it off and give it more of that doodling effect. And this was a fun page to do. I really liked this one. I think I was really happy with the outcome. You know, sometimes you do pages and you're like, oh yeah, that's okay. And then others you're like, you tend to like more. Yeah, this is probably one that I liked, that I was really happy with. I really enjoyed the process of it, and I also just enjoyed the outcome. I thought it turned out really good, and I was pleased with it. I was hoping they didn't look like little Easter eggs because that was not the effect that I was going for. But in the end, I think they turned out okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my ink splatters here. I wanted to do that now before I actually lay down any of the other embellishments because I did want to make those pretty prominent on the layout. And so I'm going to go ahead and put those on now before I put my other embellishments and photo down. And so there, I dropped one last drop there on the page, and I'm going to hit it with my heat gun real quick to try to get that dried again. And it's going to cause that ink to run a little bit. I did want that big splatter of ink there to run a little bit. And so I'm just about ready to get my layout. Build the layers on my layout. And I'm using, like I said, the February Hip Kit, and it had some beautiful papers in it. We Are Memory Keepers, some Heidi Swap, Webster's Pages, just beautiful pieces that coordinate so well together. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going through the papers, and I'm just picking some papers that I want to layer behind the photo. But before I do that, what I did want to do was the paper with the doors. So cute. And Missy had used that on her page kind of in the center, so I wanted to kind of recreate that. And so I am using, I want to say that's We Are Memory Keepers paper. Yeah, that's the French doors from their Love Notes collection. And so what I did is I just tore the paper across, and I'm going to lay that across the middle of my layout there. And I'm just getting that placed, and I was trying to straighten out that paper. When you do, painting and things on the paper, it can warp, and I was trying to flatten it out a little bit. So I'm kind of working with it there. And now I'm just going to start looking for papers that I can layer behind my photograph. And I did want to use that black and white paper. I thought that would contrast very well with the black and white photo. That's from the Amy Tan Stitched collection. That's the garden paper. And then on the back side is that green stripe that you're seeing. That's the stitched Amy Tan Stitched collection as well. And I'm just picking out a few papers here that I thought that would go with the layout, and just creating some layers to put behind the photograph. And so I'm just cutting out different papers in different sizes that I can layer. And then I'm going to start kind of roughing those up a little bit. I like to rough up the edges and kind of give them just a little bit of texture, a little bit of, a little bit of movement almost, to kind of just so they're not so flat. And so now I'm going to start layering those and figuring out how I want those underneath the photo. And I'm liking that pretty well, just looking to see if there was anything else that I wanted to add in there, and I think that's good. And then what I'm going to do is I wanted to take the gelatos and kind of color in some of those doors a little bit. And I'm just doing a really rough job, just putting a little bit of color on those and then just smearing it with the baby wipe, not necessarily staying in the lines, just doing a general little color wash type thing there on the doors to kind of just give it a little bit of color there. So. And I'm liking that so far, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere the layers on the photo and start that process so that I can begin adding the rest of the embellishments to the layout. Just getting those adhered. I love the colors in these in this kit. It's so pretty. I think maybe because I'm ready for spring. We've had probably a good week or week and a half of just ice and snow, and finally starting to thaw, but it's still cold. And so I think we're kind of getting ready for spring around here. And I think the colors are making me feel like it's spring. So it's probably what I'm enjoying about that. And so now I'm going to start adding the rest of my embellishments, and I'm going through the ephemera pack here that came in the kit, and that is Notes and Things from Crepe Paper, and lots of little goodies there to choose from. And then there's also the chipboard, which is always fun. I'm using that frame. The frame is from the chipboard pieces. That is from, looks like Crepe Paper as well. And I'm using the frame over the photo. And I'm sorry, what I opened before, that was actually my Mind's Eye mixed bag die cuts is what that was. This is the Notes and Things from Crepe Paper. Try to keep my supplies straight here. And so I'm just looking through and just finding pieces that I can add to the layout, and find things that I can use to, tuck in here and there and just add to the layout. I usually just go through and find pieces and just kind of lay them out on the layout, and things that match in color, things that I think I may want to use, and then I kind of go from there as far as placing them. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going through trying to find things that I think might work on the layout. And I'm going to start trying to find some other pieces in the Notes and Things collection. There's so many different pieces that you get between the die cuts and the ephemera packs. So many different things to choose from that sometimes it's hard to use it all up in 1 month or in 1 month's kits. Usually always end up having some leftovers. But I'm using a tag from the Notes and Things collection. And I'm going to start using some of those die cuts too, and just adhering some of those down. And I find it's best when you find something that works. I know for me is to just commit to it and put it down and adhere it. It used to just take me forever to do layouts, because I would put things, I would just try to lay things, and then I'd move them, and then I'd walk away and come back, and then I'd move them again and move them again. And I never got anything done because I just felt like I was constantly moving things around and could never actually commit to it. And I found it so much better when I just went with like the first place that I thought it would go and try a few different things and then just choose one and commit to it. I found that I'm just much more productive when I just will commit to that, and, you try a few different places, but then pick one and actually adhere it down. And very rarely have I ever said, oh, I wish I wouldn't have put that there. And most usually anything that you do make a mistake on can be fixed or covered up in one way or another. And so nothing is so, hard that you can't, either fix it or just go with it. So I've kind of learned that to just, go with what I think at first, and it usually ends up being the best choice for me. So, and I get things done that way. So, and I'm going to be using the gold tile thickers. These are from Create Paper. They're part of the Maggie Holmes Flea Market collection. And I'm going to use those for the name. I love the gold, little bits of the gold with the color. So I decided to go with the tile thickers for her name. I'm going to put her name down there at the bottom. And so I'm just spelling that out right now and getting all of those pulled off so that I can place them where I want to place them on the layout with my wax paper. And I know that I want to put them down there towards the bottom of the layout. I'm sorry that that's going off camera a bit. And I'm trying to just find other things that I think I might want to use. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere the name down because I know pretty much that's where I want to put it. And then I'm going to add some other things around it. And I did add a touch of hot glue behind those letters just because I find sometimes those don't stick as well. And so I wanted to make sure that they didn't end up in the bottom of a page protector in the album. So I used some glue behind those too, just to make sure that they are good and adhered to the page. And so I've got the name down, and now I'm going to go ahead and add some other pieces, just some little touches from that die cut pack. There's so many cute things to choose from in there. It was hard to choose. And then I'm going to add some arrows there to the left. I'm going to use that wood veneer arrow. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I want to pull into that layout. And I thought that would work good in there, so I decided to go ahead and tuck that in the layout, that piece of vellum from the Create Paper collection. I'm trying to use as much of that kit, as much of those as I can. Like I said, there's so many, you have to, to use them up, you'd have to use a few on each layout. And so I'm just trying to decide here which I want to go with, and I decided to use that black and white arrow. I like the black and white against the color, and so I'm kind of using some of the arrows. And I love that So Happy. I just thought that was just so cute, and I decided to go ahead and use that on the layout. I used it under her name. Because I mean, if you knew her, that is so her. That describes her to a T. There is nothing that this child is not happy about. I mean, she is so expressive and so she's just everything in life. She's so full of life and everything is wonderful. And so I thought it fit her well. So I decided to go ahead and use it on the layout just because it was perfect for her. And I'm just tucking little bits of ephemera there in the layers, and so little peaks of it you can see little peaks of the pieces coming out. And so there I'm kind of like wrapping it up, I feel like, but I did want to do some stitching on it. And I'm just doing a little bit of stitching towards the bottom of the layout, not a lot. But just doing a little bit of stitching toward the bottom of the layout. And I'm using my little portable sewing machine, which is great. I just have it off to the right of me. And when I need it, I just pull it out and use it. It's not something I have to keep set up all the time because it's so portable. I can just pull it off my shelf and over to my work table and do some sewing. And I'm going to do just a little bit of stitching there on the bottom. And I typically just go with whatever thread I have in there. I mean, unless it's just so outrageously you know, clashes with the layout. But for the most part, I just go with what I have in there. I happen to have yellow in there for right now, so that's what I just went with. So I didn't have to change out the ribbon, or excuse me, change out the thread. And I'm doing just a little bit of stitching, straight stitch and a little zigzag stitch on the layout. Black would have actually been very nice against that. Probably would have stood out more. But I just went with the yellow. That's what I had in there. So. And there you can see that stitching there at the bottom, and I'm cutting off those loose threads. And I'm still just trying to find out if there's any more little pieces that I want to put on there. And I'm thinking I'm liking that label there. And I'm going to do, I think, like a date stamp there to just document the date that the photo was taken. I'm probably getting my stamps right now. I am going to end up putting some arrow stamps there on the left of the layout. I've been playing with some stamps lately, more stamps, and I've really enjoyed that and kind of getting some of those out and using them. So right now I'm just putting my date stamp on there, and I think I'm going to write father and daughter dance on the side there. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down to the layout. And so here I am with my arrow stamps that I pulled out, and I'm just using, this is actually like one of those really inexpensive stamps that you get at Michael's, like the 99-cent Studio G, I think. And I'm just doing a few of those arrow stamps there on the left in black, because again, I did like the black against the color. And that's going to pretty much wrap it up. Got some close-ups for you, and just want to thank you again for watching. This is Sherry, and I hope to see you back here soon. Thanks again. You have a great day.